Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So check out the satellite and lightning picture. We've got several areas of thunderstorms ongoing this morning across the central U.S. We've got scattered storms across parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley, pushing across northern Missouri, southern Iowa. Those will be pushing into portions of central and northern Illinois later on today. But then the bigger story, we've got some stationary, slow-moving, heavy rain-producing thunderstorms across parts of the Ozarks and the South. Those are prompting some flood watches, some flood warnings across eastern Oklahoma into western Arkansas. And that's an area that saw a lot of heavy rain with Laura over the last week or so, and is going to continue to see a lot of heavy rain over the next 3 to 4 days. So we'll be hearing a lot about flooding rains across parts of the Ozarks and the Mid-South over the next few days. Meanwhile, we'll get a chance for at least scattered storms across parts of the eastern Corn Belt here over the next couple of days. And as we look at the last 72 hours of precipitation, this is an area that's been really missed over the last 3 days and really over the last couple of weeks. And we can extend that dry area back into eastern portions of Nebraska. So this is an area that badly needs some rainfall, has not seen it over the last week to 2 weeks, even longer in some cases. And unfortunately, is just going to get this scattered chance for some showers and storms over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, as we look at the hazards map from the National Weather Service off to the northwest, we've got fire weather advisories here, red flag warnings where it's going to be very dry and windy over the next 3 to 5 days. We've got dense fog advisories across parts of the eastern Corn Belt where we're bringing a more humid air mass into what's been a relatively cool and dry area over the last day or two. And then here are the flood watches, the flood warnings off to the south. Now, as we look at the next week of precipitation, a lot of this is what's going to be falling over the next several days as we continue to pump deep Gulf moisture into the south with a little disturbance, a little kind of cut-off low across the region, which we'll look at here in a moment. And then again, you head off to the north across the eastern Corn Belt. You know, this looks pretty favorable, but I have some concerns about the rain that's going to fall here over the next day or two. I just think it's going to be pretty scattered in nature. I think there's going to be some winners here, but by and large, I think a lot of people are going to end up a little disappointed with the rainfall that they get out of this system. We'll look at the severe weather outlook over the next 3 days, not talking about a lot in the way of severe weather. We do have a marginal risk along that frontal boundary today from the eastern Corn Belt through the Mid-South back into the southern plains. Tomorrow, we've got a marginal risk across the mid-Atlantic, eastern portions of Kentucky. And then as we head into the day 3 time frame, this would be Thursday, we introduce a slight risk over there across parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Now, we can look at this pattern in 2 different ways, or you can look at it in any way you want, but there's 2 ways that I think may help it make a lot of sense. And that's looking at the moisture content within the atmosphere, precipitable water, and then looking at the upper level flow. And so what we're going to do first, I'm going to hit play on this animation of the moisture content within the atmosphere, our precipitable water plot. And the pattern is probably jumping out to you. I'm going to go ahead and let it play out, and then we'll jump back here. What I really want to draw your attention to is this region that we've been focused on, talking about the real heavy rain threat, and that's going to be across parts of the southern plains from Texas into Oklahoma, Arkansas, southern Missouri, parts of the Mid-South. The reason for this, well, you can see the trajectory coming off the Gulf. We just continue an uninterrupted flow off of the Gulf of Mexico, keeping extremely saturated atmosphere and environment in place here, again, across the same region. Now, as you head off toward the north, we're talking about the Corn Belt here. You know, we're getting a chance for some precipitation across parts of the eastern Corn Belt today. But what we're going to see as you head off to the north are these pushes of cooler and dry air coming out of Canada. So across the Corn Belt, from the northern plains into the central and eastern Corn Belt, we're seeing shots of cool and dry air over the next 7 to 10 days. And so that's the reason for, you know, the one quick shot of precipitation here with this frontal boundary. We'll see another quick shot here as this front comes pushing in here on Thursday. You see that one now digging into the Corn Belt. I'm going to take that drawing off. We'll see then as we get into Friday. 2 things happening. We're pushing a lot of cool and dry air in across the Corn Belt, and we're not getting rid of the uninterrupted flow here across the south. We're getting into the weekend now. This is when we finally start to bring some drier air around and start to kick this saturated air mass out of the south, and we'll bring the heavy rainfall threat to an end across that area. Now, what's going to make a little bit more sense for the Corn Belt, now let's look at the upper level flow. We're looking at 500 millibar vorticity. Again, we've talked about the saturated air mass across this region. Now let's talk about what's happening off to the north. We're going to have an uninterrupted, an interstate here flow, highway flow of short waves, little troughs coming around up and over the top of the ridge in the west, sweeping through the Canadian prairie, and then diving down into the Corn Belt, each one bringing a refreshing shot of cooler and drier air to the region. So I'll hit play on it again, just letting this play. You can see what's going on off to the north. Let's go ahead and bring it back, and now I'm going to set the table once again. What do we have going on? We've got uninterrupted flow, deep Gulf moisture tracking into parts of the southern plains into the mid-south. Now we look at the upper level pattern, the 500 millibar vorticity plot. Here's the additional troublemaker. We've not only got flow coming off of the Gulf of Mexico, we've got this little cutoff system here that's continuing to provide the lift. So we're lifting this saturated air mass across the south. Now let's head back toward the north. This is where we've got these little clipper systems. They're not really clippers, I shouldn't say that. They're well-defined troughs. This is a very excited jet stream off to the north, but it's just bringing these sweeping systems in. Here comes the next one. This was on Thursday and Friday. That's going to be bringing another reinforcing shot of cool, dry air to the Corn Belt. And then the one that everyone's been talking about rides up and over the top of the ridge here as we get into the back half of the weekend into early next week. You're going to see it dig in right here. This is as we get into around September 8th and September 9th. This is the one that could really dig into the central U.S., bringing a lot in the way of cooler air along with it and kind of resetting the pattern. So one other way to look at this, again, we're looking at the 500 millibar flow, the jet stream flow here in the mid-levels. You see our features. We've got the ridge out to the west. We've got the strong flow coming up and over the top of that ridge through the prairie into the midsection of the country here, the northern portion of the midsection of the country, the jet stream flow staying off to the north. If I go ahead and bring it back here, here's the cutoff low that's continuing to exacerbate the flooding situation across the south. This one finally gets pushed out by our lake week trough, this wave that comes in. We take the drawings off once again here on Thursday. You're seeing it blast in across the northern plains right now. This one, as it digs in, it helps to get this cutoff low to begin to actually start retrograding and get picked up by our ridge that's out here. So you're going to see this cutoff low actually begin to get pulled back to the west, such that it's not providing that upper level support to the southern plains and the Ozarks anymore with that deep tropical moisture in the region. And then here comes our big wave. Now you're starting to see it come blasting out of the Canadian prairie here as we get into the early part of next week, Tuesday into Wednesday, digging into the central U.S. in one form or another. We'll diagnose this one a little bit closer as we get towards the end of this coming week. So let's put this all together. Let's look at the rainfall forecast here from the high-resolution NAM model. We'll go ahead and pause this one and step through time. Again, a lot of heavy rain across this region. We'll continue to see the redevelopment of clusters of thunderstorms and showers across that region. As we talk about the Corn Belt, the mid-Mississippi Valley, we're going to see those scattered storms moving out of Missouri into central and northern portions of Illinois today. We'll look at the time on this. This is about mid-afternoon, seeing the state of Illinois getting scattered rain opportunities. Those will push into Indiana, but again, I just have some concerns as to how widespread the rainfall is going to be in these areas. We may see another area flaring up across central and southern Illinois late this afternoon and evening, that tracking into central and southern Indiana during the overnight, and then on into the state of Ohio on Wednesday morning. That is about it. We get the Thursday frontal boundary that comes sweeping in here. You can see it there off to the top of the screen here as we get into Thursday morning. This one is not, though, going to be bringing quite so much rainfall down into the same region here, the mid-Mississippi Valley into the eastern Corn Belt. So unfortunately, what we get here over the next 24 to 36 hours is going to be about it. I should maybe tee it up with some optimism first. Good news, we got a rainfall opportunity here over the next 24 to 36 hours across at least this portion of the Corn Belt that badly needs it. Unfortunately, I wish we were bringing some into Iowa. That's just not the case, and I wish that it was a little bit more of a more significant chance here across the areas that are going to see it. I do think it's going to be hit or miss in nature. I think there will be some big winners. Some folks are going to pick up a half an inch to an inch of rain, but this is not the drought buster event that we are looking for. Unfortunately, this pattern with these shots of cooler and drier air just is not going to support a big drought-busting rain across the Corn Belt here, and so unfortunately we will probably be seeing an expansion of drought as we look into the 1 to 2 week time frame. So the total precipitation forecast from the high-resolution NAM model, again, you can see it. Heavy rain concentrated across this region. As you head off to the north, much more scattered in nature as we head through the next day or two, and unfortunately that is the best opportunity that we have as we look out into the 5 to 7 day time frame. We'll take one more look here at the European model. We'll take it a little bit further out. Again, watching the heavy rainfall. I'm going to just keep drawing the same pink oval in this area across the Mid-South, the Ozarks, and then the scattered rainfall opportunity off to the north today into tonight and early tomorrow morning. This gets out of here, this front gets out of here as we get into Thursday morning. We'll see that next little system quickly sweeping through the north. That's going to bring a refreshing or a renewed shot of cooler and drier air to the Corn Belt, but not going to bring much in the way of precipitation to the region. Kentucky and Tennessee, you could continue to see showers and storms along that stalled out boundary, but you're the exception to the dry rule here across the Corn Belt going into the deep part of the week. We're into Friday now, getting into Saturday, keeping it dry across the Corn Belt, high pressure in place. As we get into Saturday and Sunday, we're going to start to see our next two waves start to dig in. This is the first one over the weekend, bringing a shot for some rain here to the Great Lakes and parts of the eastern Corn Belt. Unfortunately, this one also looks like it's not going to do much for the folks in the great state of Iowa who badly need some rain to come without the severe weather impacts. I think our best chance is going to be as we get into next week. We're really going to have to talk about what this one actually looks like when it gets here. It is a week out, but this is the big trough that everyone's talking about, bringing in the cooler air. It will, too, bring a chance for some showers and storms with it. Right now, the European operational model has this one sweeping in as we get into Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing a shot of cool air to the Corn Belt, but also a chance for some showers and storms. So, side by side, on the left, you're looking at the probability of picking up 1 inch of rainfall or more through Sunday evening. And then on the right, we're looking again at the next 7 days of precipitation. So here are your corridors. The best chance for that inch of rain, they're likely going to get more than an inch, is going to be down here across the Ozarks, parts of North Texas, Oklahoma, into northern Arkansas, the boot heel of Missouri, maybe far southern Illinois, and then on into Kentucky and Tennessee. And then as you head off toward the north, this is where we've got the scattered opportunity for showers and storms, but likely going to be hit or miss in nature and not the drought-busting rain that we need. As I go ahead and overlay here the soil moisture anomaly, again, this is a dry corridor from eastern Nebraska into the eastern Corn Belt that is really going to be mostly waiting for that drought-busting rain, although some areas here, going to see at least a little bit of relief here as we head through the next 24 to 36 hours. Let's finish with a look at temperatures. Again, the theme across the Corn Belt over the next 7 to 10 days is going to be these sweeping fronts here every 2 to 4 days, bringing a shot of cooler air. So maybe a bit of a temperature roller coaster, especially as you head back to the northern plains and you quickly warm up and then cool down on the backside of each of these systems. So the big push of cool air arrives early next week, so around September 8th through the 11th, we'll likely be talking about a much cooler air mass settling into the central part of the country. I'll look at your high temperatures over the next several days then. Today, 70s and 80s by and large for most folks here, a little bit on the cooler side today, warming up across the northern plains tomorrow, but then cooling right back down on the heels of our Thursday system. You remember this one quickly cuts across the northern states, bringing maybe a chance for some showers to the Great Lakes, but mostly delivering another shot of cooler air to the region, which will expand across the rest of the Corn Belt as we head into Friday. Saturday, we're warming back up once again, but we know that next wave that's going to be bringing that next shot of cooler air is awaiting just off to the north and to the west. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again on Friday morning.